Before the tour, Holly vacationed with his wife in Lubbock, and visited Jennings radio station in December 1958. For the start of the Winter Dance Party tour, he assembled a band consisting of Jennings, Alsop, guitar, and Carl Bunch, drums. Holly and Jennings left for New York City, arriving on January 15, 1959. Jennings stayed at Holly's apartment by Washington Square Park, on the days prior to a meeting scheduled at the headquarters of the General Artists Corporation, which organized the tour. They then traveled by train to Chicago to join the rest of the band. The tour began in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, on January 23, 1959. The amount of travel involved created logistical problems. The distance between venues had not been considered when scheduling performances. Adding to the disarray, the tour buses were not equipped for the weather and twice broke down. To gain time to sleep and launder clothing after a show in Clear Lake, Iowa, and to avoid the long bus journey to Moorhead, Minnesota, Holly chartered a plane for himself, Ritchie Valens, Jennings and Alsop. Jennings gave up his seat to J.P. Richardson, the Big Bopper, who was suffering from influenza and complaining that the bus was uncomfortable for a man of his size. The pilot, Roger Peterson, took off in inclement weather, even though he was not certified to fly by instruments only. In the early morning hours of February 3, Holly, Valens, Richardson and Peterson were killed when the plane crashed into a cornfield shortly after takeoff. Holly's funeral was held on February 7, 1959, at the Tabernacle Baptist Church in Lubbock. The service was officiated by Ben D. Johnson, who had presided at the Hollies' wedding just months earlier. The pallbearers were Jerry Allison, Joe B. Malden, Nikki Sullivan, Bob Montgomery, Sonny Curtis and Phil Everly. Waylon Jennings was unable to attend due to his commitment to the still-touring Winter Dance Party. Holly's body was interred in the City of Lubbock Cemetery in the eastern part of the city. His headstone carries the correct spelling of his surname, Holly, and a carving of his Fender Stratocaster guitar. Santiago, who was pregnant, watched the first reports of Holly's death on television. The following day she miscarried the fetus. The miscarriage was attributed to psychological trauma. Holly's mother, who heard the news on the radio in Lubbock, Texas, collapsed. Because of Santiago's miscarriage, in the months following the accident, the authorities implemented a policy against announcing victims' names until after families are informed. Santiago did not attend the funeral and has never visited the grave site. She later told the Avalanche Journal, "In a way, I blame myself. I was not feeling well when he left. I was 2 weeks pregnant, and I wanted Buddy to stay with me, but he had scheduled that tour. It was the only time I wasn't with him. And I blame myself because I know that, if only I had gone along, Buddy never would have gotten into that airplane."